back to our next speaker. It's Melissa. Are you there, Melissa?
I am indeed.
Excellent. So
yes.
Just take it away.
We shall start. So last time I think I got up here and I gave this quick spiel on virtual sensors and change detectors. And this time I'm going to talk a little bit more about actually not transferring your data into the local data lake. And when I was originally going to do this, I really wanted to do it down by the lake and jump in it. But sadly, it froze last night, which was kind of unexpected. So you guys are not getting to watch me jump into Mallorin, which is probably for everyone's best sake, though I'm sure Eleanor is a bit disappointed because she didn't think I could do it. But I think we should talk a little bit more about Ekkono and what we can do for smart manufacturing and for various different things around that. We are possibly a little different to other companies here in that we don't have a manufacturing solution. What we have is IoT machine learning components, and those components go into other people's solutions. And that's super powerful because it means that we can enable anything in a manufacturing environment. And the thing that I know about manufacturing, and I'm not by any stretch an expert on this, is that everyone makes things differently. There's a lot of variety. There's a huge requirement for flexibility and responsiveness. You know, it's important that you can change what you're making quickly, that you can respond to market demands. And there's also a lot of confidentiality and privacy requirements in it. So, you know, when you're making a new product for a company, it's very likely they don't want their competitors to know anything about it. They don't want analysts to know anything about it. They don't want anyone to know anything about it apart from themselves and the people making it. And that can be really, really contrary to dealing with big data lakes, getting data out into the cloud, and getting your fancy cloud-based or even centralized IoT solution doing machine learning in your data science. And one of the cool things we have in our toolbox is the ability to actually learn on-site on a device. And that device doesn't need to have any connectivity. It doesn't need to talk to anywhere else in the world. And yet it can still provide machine learning that covers all of the different primary use cases. You know, it can detect change, it can look for anomalies, it can calibrate to that specific production line or that specific product that you're making, which means that it can tell when something has changed about it. So you can tell whether there's going to be a defect before you've actually manufactured it, which can save you an awful lot of time and money in retooling. These are fairly standard use cases, and obviously, you know, everyone has a different environment and a different requirement, and we support that. You know, one of our really cool manufacturing use cases is around heat exchangers and optimizing heat exchangers. And pretty much every manufacturing process that's dealing with fluids, dealing with anything of large volume, has some form of heat exchanger in it. And every single one of those heat exchangers has a different usage environment. They foul, which means they become contaminated at a faster or slower rate, depending on what fluids are running through it, depending on how much flow there is. And actually that will tell you all sorts of things about the production line. So by monitoring how fast something is fouling, you can tell how many items are being made, for example. So the last thing someone with a heat exchanger wants to do is to send this information off-site, yet they need to be able to quickly and efficiently optimize the cleaning process so that they have a minimal downtime. So by learning on that device, using a very simple sensor, looking at the output temperature and the flow rate, you can optimize when you clean them, which means that you have less downtime or anything, but you haven't leaked any information. You've kept all of that information locally. And that local information is super useful. It also means that you don't have to have large amounts of training data. So you don't need to have been recording for each heat exchanger on every possible installation ever in the world to get a good machine learning model. You know, we can do that with very little data off of one device, and we can share the knowledge from that one device to any number of other devices if it's required. And that's an extremely powerful technique and tool, which is making sure that when you're building a solution, you have access to everything you need to make it work reliably and efficiently in a variety of different engagements. Now, you might say, how is this useful for people with manufacturing lines? One of the things we've discovered is that everyone has a supplier, and those suppliers often need help in order to get their machine learning solutions integrated into their product. And we're super good at that. So for example, with these heat exchangers, you know, we would work with the provider of the heat exchanger to get it in so that their customers gain benefit. So if you have a production line, if you have things that you are producing and you're having trouble monitoring it, your suppliers aren't able to give you that information that you need, we're very happy to work with you and that supplier in order to figure out a solution that works for your environment and your equipment. We did this very recently. We announced a case study with Ericsson's Brew on looking at how we monitor their dehumidifiers and how we keep track of that without knowing anything else about the environment. Now that's working with a SCADA system and a partner called Ekkono. And they have hooked us up into their SCADA environment. And now we can actually monitor more than just those dehumidifiers, but anything which is integrated into their SCADA system, which gives you a huge amount of extra flexibility. Now, to make this real and to make it easier to understand where you can and can't use machine learning in your IoT solution, we have a really, really cool thing, and that's called our Edge Academy. And the Edge Academy is exactly what it says. It's about learning how you can deploy IoT machine learning solutions into your edge, into your factory, into your premises, into your equipment. And it's a very simple course. We run it over a couple of hours. I think it's about a day. And that will cover everything you need to know in order to understand what it is to do machine learning on the edge, what is good and what isn't good, what kind of problems can you solve, how do you solve those problems? And it's a really great base to learning more about your own environment, your own devices, and what you would need to take as a next step. How much data do you need to have? How easy are these problems to solve? All of those kind of questions are things you would learn at our Edge Academy. And once you've done that, we have tools which will help you learn and optimize for implementing the best machine learning solution. It will give you the best business value. So that is a solution that you have data for, or you don't have data for, or you can collect data for, and finding one that is efficient to deploy and quick to implement. So you can get something up and running in your environment, in your product as quickly as possible. So today I'm not here to sell a new machine learning algorithm. I'm here to help you figure out how to put these algorithms into your products, how to get them into your factories, how to improve the way your work flows. And from there, then we can talk about virtual sensors and how awesome it is to be able to tell whether your device is working properly or whether it's degrading, and how these things can actually make your equipment 30, 40, maybe even 60% more efficient, saving you visits, saving you downtime, making sure that the products you build are as exceptional as you want them to be. So come along to our Edge Academy. We run them all the time. We'd love to hear from you.